Diwan is with us as well, right here in our studios. Prakash, thank you very much for coming on. So let's just talk stocks, because we've talked enough macro over the next 2 hours or so. What's top of mind to you based on earnings or whatever?
Yeah, I think the earnings have probably got eclipsed because of this anticipation of the budget being a very key event. But surprisingly, earnings have been much better than what we had penciled in. At least till now, whatever has come out.
Which ones?
No, I mean, if you look at some of, like, even stray names like Indigo, and you have some smaller companies in the defense space. I mean, you would expect a trend to be emerging so soon. It's still, January just got over. But my sense is that except for some of the banks which have disappointed.
Yesterday's banks.
Yeah, I mean, you had a little bit of this thing with IndusInd and Bandhan. Bandhan, of course, has been in the mend, on the way to be mended. So very clearly, expectation from earnings has been slightly different than what you would anticipate. But top of the mind from the budget seems to be, 2021 onwards, we've had a lot of corporate support coming in from the government, and that's reflected in the earnings to the extent that the economic survey talks about disparity between the acceleration of corporate earnings and wages. I think for the consumption side, for the individual salaried class or whatever, if we were to have some sort of a slab getting introduced, some rationalization without too much of tweaks. We've had enough tweaks on the taxation part. That could probably be very positive. That could probably, start making people believe that things could look up in terms of what I have to spend. And the last thing is agri and housing finance, that is the pocket I'm looking at. That's, I mean, of course, we don't know what all comes through, but agri seems to be a very prime area where things could start making a big difference.
Okay.
Any stocks there? Okay.
Unfortunately, we don't know which element of whether it's on the input side, supply chain side, or the funding side. But I think there'll be something creative coming through on that. So let's see, based on that, just an hour away. And
let me ask you a viewer question. Yesterday the lift in my building, this is what I was asked. कल budget है ना, उसके पहले क्या खरीदूं? That whatever the budget does, there are still people who are looking at, because they think things look cheap. So do you have a buy list which is a budget?
No, so to be honest, we believe that some of the expenditure that the government has initiated will continue on the defense side and probably get more meaningful and deeper. So there are small companies there which can grow big, and I like micro caps and small caps. So my bent of mind has always been I wouldn't look at a BEL and a HL if I had a choice with a smaller company. So there's one company called DCX System, for instance. Very small, but very high on IP, very high on technical prowess. And they are into defense and aerospace, which is a very good combination of private sector Capex and the government spend. So, just about 3,400 crores market cap. I don't think it's too big in that sense. But earnings could kind of, make a big difference given their, runway. So, you'll have to look at that.
Maybe you want to repeat it if we have the share. DCX.
DCX. Yeah, I mean, it's a Bangalore headquartered small business, very, very well run. Not much talked about. The float is also not very significant, but very high quality management and the business model per se.
Sir, Prakash, I wanted to ask you about the Capex related stocks for the simple reason that yesterday we got the April-December numbers from the government.
Yes.
And Capex has really gone through the roof. They have spent 1,70,000 crore in 1 month compared to 50,000 crores in the last December.
Yeah.
So April, December, now they are up 1.5% year on year. Till November, April-November, they were minus 12.5% year on year. So big cap. Government seems determined to spend its. Any thoughts?
So no, that's absolutely a very positive thing, and that's what I was saying. You need to look at which are the sectors that will finally get most of the benefit percolating. But we have started looking at playing the Capex theme by buying into logistics businesses.
Okay.
So it's like if you generate more power, you need to evacuate. If you manufacture more, you need to move the goods somewhere, right? And our infrastructure on logistics is fairly dated. It's not the best in class yet. So ports, 3P package, 3P warehousing, all of those are themes that will start looking up. the number of companies, the kind of companies that's a bit smallish. You really don't have, the moment you talk about logistics, you go to a Concor or you go to a TCI, but then there's lots more if you dig harder. So that's where you need to look at.
You know, it's interesting, Prakash, you say that. By the way, I just want to point out that we've started getting some of the pre-open rates are trickling in, 70 to 80 points higher on the Nifty. That's how it's looking right now. The reaction on IndusInd is negative in the pre-open. Like I've been saying, while we all knew they have an MFI problem, but now it's really showing up in the numbers, in the slippages, which are higher, in the credit cost that's higher. So let's see. It'll probably settle down. We'll wait for this because Abhishek was telling us that while the numbers are bad, maybe not as bad as the market was fearing. So let's wait on this. But Prakash, on Capex, while I understand your point on playing it via the logistics players, what about the bigger companies? The Siemens, ABBs of the world, I mean, Hitachi with their HVDC, or look how they've done. Now, I know the argument against these companies was that they were all trading at 100 PE.
Valuations, yeah.
Some of that has corrected, but is it enough?
I don't think it's enough. Because you've already penciled in the growth, and they will have to grow to justify these valuations. So, the market tends to kind of discount things in exuberance. And some of the businesses I was looking at are probably discounting 2047, the Viksit Bharat numbers as well. So, which is far-fetched, but you'll have to be cautious. But you have areas like pharma and, agri, cement. Those will probably attract more attention based on how people interpret the announcements as we hear them.